right. Well, for those of you that did make it, thanks for being here. Little intro about myself. So my name is Natasha, of course, and I've been a special education teacher for 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And I've just always had an interest in working with children with special needs. I'm actually an early childhood special education teacher, so I've worked with actually 3 to 5-year-olds for the past 13 years. And I've learned a lot in those past 13 years, and I'm still learning. It's each child is different. The way that they behave is different, and trying to figure out why they choose, or not necessarily choose, but why are they behaving the way that they do. And I've learned a lot about that throughout the years, and it's important to work with a team of people to try to figure that out, because you can't just do it on your own and try to figure it out. Working with families, working with other people who work with the children, and coming up with a plan together is the best way to help a child in their behaviors. The reason why we're starting a special needs ministry, especially in our children's ministry here at Living Hope Church, is because of the rise of number of children being diagnosed or identified with a disability, or not even necessarily having been diagnosed with a disability. We have children that we see that have issues with behavior that don't have a specific diagnosis of anything, but you can see that they have some issues and they're struggling in some areas and they just need some extra support. So it might not even be someone who has a specific disability or a specific diagnosis. We're still going to help them to be successful in the classroom.
So how many of you have worked with or been involved with somehow an individual with special needs that are here today? Yeah, like all of you. So it's easy to see why this ministry is super important, because we never know who's going to walk through our doors and who's going to need support. And we definitely want families to feel comfortable when they enter into this place, and to feel like there's support for them here and that they don't have to feel rejected. Families that have children with special needs often feel lonely, they feel grief, they feel rejection. Sorry, I forgot to do my little switch here. They feel that way even in the churches. Families get frustrated when there isn't someone there to help them, or parents want to be in a church service, but they can't bring their children to church because there isn't people there that understand how to work with their children. Most parents experience anxiety over whether or not the church will be able to accommodate their child. There's a lack of training and programming in churches to support families affected by special needs, and there's a lack of making a connection with families to find out more about their child. So Living Hope Church has a vision of including families with special needs in our church services to show the love of Jesus to children of all abilities. So for our volunteers, those that are interested in helping out with this ministry, you will receive one-on-one training through me with each child, to get to know the child, to observe the child, to see how they function in the classroom, and then provide training on how you will provide support for that child. It could be one-on-one support, depending on where that child is in their ability. They might need a one-on-one person with them the whole time. You might be a floater between classrooms if we have children in multiple classrooms and they just need someone to check in on them, or maybe they struggle more during story time versus the hands-on activity, or vice versa. They might struggle during an activity and not know how to go about completing an activity or getting through an activity. Then someone can be there to kind of help them and guide them how to do that. We can provide parents feedback on how their child did in the morning, but you always want to be positive. Don't be negative with parents. Parents hear enough about their child and their child's disability. We don't want to provide negative feedback to the parents. Oh, they did this morning. They were running all over. They were running out of the classroom. They were using scissors inappropriately. You don't want to give all the negative feedback to parents. That's just going to discourage them, and they're not going to feel good about their child. Like I said, they hear enough about their child and they know their child and what their disability is. We just want to be positive. Oh, they had a good morning. He participated today, whatever it might be. You don't have to get into a full, deep conversation with parents about how their child was in the morning. If there's anything big that happened that needs to be addressed with families, I'll be that person that will address with families. Laura, you're hidden behind my behind my screen there. So yeah, don't get into deep conversations about anything that might have happened that particular morning or evening if it's at Awana. I'll be that person that will be the contact person for any serious, maybe it was aggressive or, things like that. I don't want the volunteers to get into those conversations with parents. I would like to be the one that deals with that. So yeah, that's kind of the purpose of why we're doing this, and we just want families to feel comfortable. We want to be able to bring families in, if we can eventually advertise somehow and let the community know that we are a church for families with disabilities, the more the merrier. So that's exactly why we're doing this. So we're going to move on into some behavior management and understanding behaviors. There's a lot of different reasons why challenging behaviors may occur. It is a way that they're communicating. It may not seem that way in the moment, but they're trying to communicate something to us. And we may not know what it is, but we can try to figure it out. And we can use our bag of tricks, so to speak, on trying to help them through it. So we know that challenging behaviors can occur at any time, anywhere. It doesn't matter what the situation is. There's a lot of different triggers that can happen that we might not understand what's going on. Like, why did that just happen? They were just sitting there listening so nice, and now they're up running all over the room, or they're tipping chairs over, or things are flying. We see that a lot at school. And we're like, what just happened? Trying to figure that out. We may not know exactly what it is in the moment, but we just have to try to help them in that moment and be that comfort to them if they're ready for it. They might be in a state where they're not ready for it, and you have to give them time. They're not going to be able to make any choices or decisions if they're in a moment where they're very heightened in anger or frustration, or whatever it might be. They might be crying, because they don't know what else to do. So children need guidance when they do not have the skills to respond appropriately to a situation. Believe it or not, children want to do well. They're not doing things on purpose. A lot of kids get labels put on them. They're naughty. They just want the attention. They're doing this on purpose. Children, they truly want to do well. You want to establish a positive, caring relationship with children. That's huge. That's kind of the core of what you want to do with a child, is establish a relationship with them so they can feel a connection to you, and then you can work with them more efficiently. So make connections with them. Figure out what they like. What are some things they like to do? Talk about them, and just establish that, and make connections with them, and just show a genuine interest in the child. This year in my school, actually, we have been introduced to an author, Dr. Ross Greene, and I'm learning a lot about his philosophy, and it totally makes a lot of sense to me. I put 3 of his books up there that are very popular. The top 2 relate mostly to a school situation, but you can definitely see where it would work at home as well. The bottom one, The Explosive Child, of course, is for families who maybe have children at home that they don't understand why their behaviors are the way that they are. But his philosophy is that if a kid could do well, he would do well. So kids do well if they can. Kids want to do well, but there are skills in their development that are missing, or what he calls lagging skills. If you can identify the skills that are lagging, you will understand why the child is challenging. After identifying lagging skills, we know what skills to teach them. When does this challenging behavior occur? When the demands being placed on the child exceed his or her capacity to respond appropriately. He really stresses that working together, as I had mentioned before, working together with people that are involved with the child's life is very important, because they all provide feedback, they provide information, and you can understand the skills that may be lagging and coming up with a plan to help teach the skills to the child. Very important that you want to empathize with the child and stay calm. When you show that you care, the child sees that you're not out to get them, you're not out to punish them. You want to help them get back to a level of calm, so that then maybe you can talk about the situation and help them understand what it is that they need to learn. You want to teach them the appropriate skills. Like I said, we don't want to shame them, we don't want to punish them, we don't want to label the child, because children with behaviors are often labeled. Right. The purpose, there is a purpose behind every behavior. Like I said, they're trying to communicate something to us. So here are a list of some lagging skills or reasons behind the behaviors. They might have difficulty handling transitions. They might have difficulty doing things in a sequence order or a prescribed order. They might have difficulty persisting when things are getting difficult or more challenging for them. They may have a poor sense of time. They might be difficult maintaining their focus. ADHD is such a big, huge, hot topic now, and a lot of these things go along with that particular diagnosis that children get. They have difficulty considering the outcomes of their actions, difficulty expressing their concerns, their thoughts in words. So the only way they know how to do that is to have an acting out behavior. They have difficulty managing their emotional responses. They might have a sensory motor difficulty. Difficulty shifting from an original idea, plan, or solution. Difficulty deviating from the routine or the rules or the schedule that you have set up. They might have difficulty seeking attention in appropriate ways. They might have chronic irritability or anxiety. They might have inaccurate interpretations of things. They might have cognitive distortions. They may be inflexible, or they might have biases about themselves. They may have difficulty interpreting social cues. This list could go on and on, but these are a lot of common reasons that we see that children are exhibiting challenging behaviors. So we have multiple functions of behaviors. So we'll get into each one of these with a little description as I continue on. But attention, power, anger, revenge, attempt to fill a need, their lack of experience. They may have stress or trauma in their life. They may be trying to escape something, or it may be a sensory issue. So attention-seeking behaviors. This could happen if they're feeling jealous, they're feeling left out, they may feel ignored, neglected. They want to feel important. So children attempt to gain attention and get noticed or get something that they want. If the attention-seeking behavior results in getting attention, well, then the behavior is going to continue because they just got what they wanted. A lot of attention was brought to what they were doing. Someone gave in to what they wanted, and so that's going to just keep going. They're gonna realize, oh, I just got that. I just acted that way, and I just got that. So I'm going to do that again the next time I want something. The best thing we can do when that's happening is try to ignore the unwanted behavior. As long as the child or the peers or whoever is in the room are not in danger, try to ignore as much as you can. And we want to teach children acceptable ways to seek attention and practice that with them over and over again. Praise them when they are showing good behavior.
Natasha,
Yes.
are you taking questions while we
Sure,
answer, or
absolutely.
again?
Yep.
For ignoring unwanted behavior, is it better to ignore or better to redirect?
You can try redirecting first. Of course, we always do try to redirect first to try to get their mind off of whatever it is that they're doing, or
I'm just
give them
wondering
the
if
appropriate.
ignoring them can escalate it.
It could. Usually when it gets to a point of, say, you're trying to redirect or not reason, but, give them the right way to ask for something or whatever it is that they want. And all they can think about is, that's what I want that, I want that, I want that. And they can't even make a choice. Then it might escalate to the point where you can't even try to redirect them anymore, or they won't make a choice that you're giving them. That's when it's best to ignore, because they've already gotten to that point of frustration and they're really angry. And now they need to just come back down again to a point where then you can start giving them choices again, or, making it a teachable moment type of thing. Yeah. So always try to redirect first. That's always our goal. We don't want them to shoot up to a level of, oh my goodness, now it's become really overwhelming for them. So yeah, definitely. Good question. Yeah, and feel free, please, anyone, if you have thoughts about anything while I'm talking about things, just ask questions, or at the end too, either way. All right, so. All right. Anger or revenge. Children may act out to hurt someone because they have been hurt themselves, either physically or emotionally. They may witness others acting out in anger, so then they've learned that behavior from witnessing it maybe on a daily basis in their home, so that's what they've learned, and that is their defense mechanism. Children may not even know that they are acting out, or when they are acting out, or why. Caregivers can provide love and care, avoid harsh punishment or criticism, and encourage their strengths, and establish a positive rapport. You'll see I have that listed a lot in all of these. That is so important to establish a positive relationship with these children, because then they know that they can trust you, that they can rely on you, and they might even come to you for help before they've even, gotten to that extreme level of trying to hurt someone or something. A lot of times, though, these happen really quickly. Like I said, they might be playing really nice in the sandbox, and they're having a good time, and everything looks like oh, they're doing so good. And then all of a sudden they're throwing sand in the kids' eyes. Like, what just happened? Like, why did that? Like, it looked like they were doing really well. Then you want to redirect immediately in that situation. You know, the sand stays in the sand table. We want everyone to be safe. Let's try this again and then see what happens. You know, that might have just been a one-time thing to see what their reaction is going to be. Or, you know, kids expect to be yelled at if that's what's happening in their home. So if they're in another environment and they just threw sand in someone's eyes, they might expect someone to scream at them immediately. What are you doing? Don't do that. You can't throw sand in someone's eyes. You're going to hurt someone. You need to remain calm with these kids because we have no idea what their home life is like. I mean, it could be complete chaos all the time, and that's what they're used to, that's what they're living in. And then they're gonna come to a really stable, routine-based environment, and they're gonna kind of see what happens when they do certain behaviors and see what the reaction is gonna be. And if you show them that you're calm and you redirect them very calmly, with as little words as possible, of course, they're gonna see that you're showing you care about them, that you're not gonna scream at them immediately, you're not gonna punish them immediately, you're not gonna call them a name immediately. Some kids are just kind of seeking that. They're seeking out who's gonna show them love and care in a caring relationship. Yes.
What about if they come from a home where the family is very codependent, trying to protect them from everything? So now they have no sense of responsibility.
Well, that's just another thing that's what we're doing. We're gonna teach them. We're gonna teach them, you know, in the moment, but in a kind, gentle way. Everything is a teachable moment. So we want to help them be responsible. So we're going to teach that skill of responsibility, but we're going to do it in a kind way. We don't want to shame them or make them feel like, say, cleaning up. They feel like they're not responsible for cleaning up, but you know, they took out the toys. It's their responsibility to put it away. So, okay, here, this is how we clean up. I mean, you have to teach every single step, and a lot of people forget that, especially with young children. You have to break every single thing down so that they understand, oh, this is how I do this, okay? Now I know that I need to put these toys away because I took them out and it's my responsibility. So teach every single step of that so that they know exactly what is expected of them. You're always reinforcing the rules as you know you're working with kids. Have those visual rules if you need them. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're teaching the skill. So if it's responsibility that they need to be taught, we're gonna just keep teaching that throughout the whole class time, what it looks like to be responsible. Does that help? Is that kind of, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
In one of my classes, we were just sitting there and all of a sudden one child says that the child in front of him, I don't want to name any names, but, and I didn't know how to handle it. He goes, his daddy was sent to jail last night and my uncle got shot 3 times. I didn't know how to handle that. Do we ignore those things or do we?
You can address that. You can, what I have done personally is, oh, I bet that made you feel sad, or how did that make you feel? Were you upset? Were you angry? How does that make you feel? And see if they can expand on that more, or are they just gonna, that was the moment that they said it and they're done with it, and then you can just move on.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to address that, if I should address it or just ignore it.
No, I would address it because they said it for a reason. Like it must be something that bothered them.
Right.
So you want,
This child was not talking.
yeah, you want to address it. And oh, I bet that would be a scary thing. How would that? Do you think that would make you feel, that type of thing?
Would I address that in front of the other children or take it aside?
I would try to keep it with that or whoever is involved in the situation as much as possible, try to just deal with it. And if it's one or two children or just one child, however, yeah. Yeah, I think it, like I said, if it's something that they've experienced or heard other adults talking about it, they're curious about it, and they probably either want to know more about it or they have a feeling about it, like they want someone to reaffirm or reassure them about
That they're okay.
that, how they're feeling, yeah, and that they're okay.
Safe, right?
All right, move on to the next one. An attempt to fill a need. There are family situations in which a child's needs are not being met. Some of these needs include love, sleep, hunger, hugs, sickness, neglect. Caregivers can create an environment that is safe and loving and caring. Again, establish positive rapport with these children and then teach them acceptable ways to get their needs met. Children may not know how to express their need in words, so they're going to act out in challenging ways. And like I said, we don't know what kind of home life they have. We don't know what's going on. We have had children that are very hungry, and we figure that out. You know, they might say that they're hungry or they might not say that they're hungry, but then you give them snack and you realize that they're eating a lot of snack. They want more snack, they want more snack, they want more snack, and then you're figuring out, this kid is really hungry. Maybe we'll start off immediately with our snack time, or maybe this kiddo can have a snack, you know, over here at this table while the other kids are doing whatever it is they're doing. You know, we've had situations like that happen. Kids are super tired. We have no idea how much sleep they got the night before. We don't know what happened in their house the night before, who they were with the night before. Were they with a parent? Were they with someone totally different? They might be super tired. We've had kids fall asleep and we just let them sleep. Like, what's more important to them in that moment? Is it being involved in what all the other kids are doing in the classroom, or for them, is it just letting them sleep and get their rest? Because if they're tired, they're not going to function well, and you are going to see a lot of challenging behaviors come forth out of that. We typically have things like crackers or animal crackers or things like that. But yeah, it would be nice to, and the teachers do have an opportunity if they want to bring in a specific snack or something. Like I've seen teachers bring in apples. I've even brought in apples. Some teachers bring in fruit, you know, things like that that are more nourishing. And I would hope that if there is a child that you notice as a pattern that comes in super hungry, like every week, that we would be able to provide something a little more healthy for them in that instance, because we don't know, like I said, when their last meal was or why are they so super hungry. And then to give them like animal crackers or fish crackers or something just doesn't seem like enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah, kids love fruit, and what a great option for them. All right, lack of experience or knowledge about the world. This leads back to kind of what I was talking about with Dr. Ross Green's philosophy of these children have lagging skills, and they need to be taught and given guidance in all areas of development, where whatever the area is that they're lacking that skill. It could be social, emotional, cognitive, physical, adaptive skills. We will help them and teach them those skills that they need so that they are reacting a little more appropriately. You want to give the children clear and simple rules and expectations. Have those posted at home or in your classroom, wherever it is, and be reviewing those all the time. Start off the day with it. Start off your class time with it. Reviewing those rules and expectations is very important, to keep going over those things so the children know what's expected of them. Just some examples. I added in there, we use scissors to cut paper, we throw paper in the trash can, we keep our feet on the floor, our hands are for helping. And those are more like in the moment if a child is using scissors to cut off tips of markers or glue sticks, right, Pastor Tracy? Then we then we need to remind the child that scissors are for cutting paper. If you don't want to cut the paper, then we'll put the scissors away, and that's okay, that type of thing.
Is it good to have the rules like around the room that you can point to them and say, this is the rule for scissors?
You could have this. I've done that even in a school setting. Like, how do we work through this project? Like, you know, having a picture of the scissors, having a picture of the glue, having a picture of the paper, whatever. And so they see that these are the steps, but then in the moment, like if they start using the scissors inappropriately, show the picture of the scissors. Oh, our scissors are for cutting the paper, and then show the paper. That might be on their little schedule. You know, I mean, some kids need that broken down that much to the visual of the steps of what is happening in that moment, whether it's the project itself, what does it look like at circle time on the rug when you're doing the story. This is what our bodies should look like. I know the 2 preschool rooms do have visuals in them. They have a visual schedule. So, I mean, do not be afraid to keep referring to those throughout the entire time. I mean, even every single transition you make, whether it's from when they arrive, when you see most of the kids are in the room, review the rules and expectations. When you're transitioning to the next thing you're doing in the class, again, show the picture of what's coming next. Oh, we finished this. You could even flip it over. The pictures that I have in there, you could flip over. We're done with this. We're going to move on to this now. And then review the rules again. That doesn't hurt for all children. It's not going to cause a problem to do that. So yeah, just like I said, breaking that down if you need to, if you have to be that specific. And I'm a visual, what could I say, wizard. I'm making visuals constantly. We in our profession at school, I mean, we are constantly making visuals and laminating and putting on Velcro. And we always say we should have bought stock in lamination, in Velcro, and in Boardmaker, because we use a program called Boardmaker that we make a lot of our visuals on. But we're constantly making visuals. So if anyone sees that a child needs even more specific visuals and anything that you're doing in your classroom, let me know, because I'm the wizard at visuals. All right, stress or trauma. This is a biggie. We are seeing a ton of this in our school system, starting with our 3-year-olds, which is horrific, unfortunately. Children may have experienced situations that cause stress or trauma in their lives. They deal with the stress or trauma by displaying challenging behaviors. They may live in an environment of uncertainty. They may have witnessed something scary. There is a definite increase in adverse childhood experiences. We call that those ACEs, poverty, divorce, death, drug exposure, abuse, neglect, lack of sleep, lack of food. The list could go on. These all affect a child's self-regulation, and they delay the child's development in one area or the other. These children are exposed to many horrible things at a very young age, and it does not surprise me. The way that they're acting in a classroom setting does not surprise me at all. When you find out their background and what is going on, it's like, okay, I get this now. Like, sometimes I get in the moment where I'm frustrated and my levels start to boil a little bit, and I always come back to that as my reminder, like, this is not their fault. They don't know why they're doing this. This is not their fault. This is not, sometimes I have to say it a lot. This is not their fault. This is not their as I'm trying to work through the issue with them. But this is definitely very high, and it's going to continue to rise. It's not going away, as we know what is happening in our society. It's not going away, and it's hard in the school system. It really is, because teachers are trying to help children learn and get through things, and teachers have expectations to get through a certain amount of curriculum and things that children need to learn. And there's complete chaos going on in their classroom because kids have gone through some terrible things and they don't know what else to do but rip apart a classroom. They're at 3 years of age, they're throwing chairs across the room, they're clearing tables, they're pulling things off the wall and ripping them, they're crawling on furniture. It's not decreasing. I have job security, okay? That's all I could say about that.
When you talk about these behaviors of clearing tables, throwing chairs, at what point do you remove the child from this?
That's a good question. That was one of my what if things that I had at the end, but this is a good time to talk about it because it happens, a lot in the schools. We haven't seen a ton of that here, but what we are taught in the schools is the child cannot be removed because we cannot physically make them do anything. What we are taught through nonviolent crisis intervention training is that child can stay in the room and they can continue to completely destroy your room. You have to remove the other children. There has to be someone that you can call on if you have to remove the children, or if you need to stay in the room with that child. There has to be someone that you can call on to be able to either do one thing or the other. If you need to stay with that child until they're calm, because eventually they are going to calm. Like, they're going to have that release of tension and they're going to calm down and they're going to be rational again. We see it a lot, and they sometimes know exactly what they did and sometimes they don't remember doing any of it. They'll be cleaning up because that's their responsibility to help clean up what they've done afterwards. And sometimes they're like, I broke this. Yeah, you were really upset, you were really angry, and this is broken now. And someone might feel sad because that was someone else's and you broke that. So we have to figure out a better way to handle this type of thing, teaching after the moment, because there's no teaching that can be done in a moment like that. You can try to redirect, which might escalate things. Sometimes you just have to, like I said, stop talking. There are some people that keep talking and keep talking and keep talking, and all it's doing is you're seeing the behavior escalate, escalate, escalate. It's like you just have to stop talking, and they might keep destroying stuff. Just make sure they're safe, I mean, clearly you don't want them doing something that's going to cause them bodily harm or you bodily harm or anyone else that's in the room. You want to let them work through the issue. If they're willing to come with you out of the room, try that, first, rather than removing the whole class and then trying to figure out, now what am I going to do with this whole group of kids? A lot of teachers have a plan for if they know they have kids like that in their classroom. They have a plan of, if I have to remove my kids from the classroom, this is what we're going to do or where we're going to go. But if you can say to the child, oh, should we go take a walk, or should we go next door if there's an empty room, or and see if they're willing to come with you. If they're not, then they have to stay in there, because we don't want to physically make them do anything that they have not given us permission to do. That's kind of a big deal. But we still want to keep them safe, as best as we can. So, and sometimes kids, especially little kids, they might be having this huge moment, and you say to them, oh, you want to come by me? Can I pick you up? Can I carry you? And they might just want that immediately because they're searching for something. And that's okay. If they are okay with coming by, if you ask them, oh, can I pick you up? Oh, can I give you a hug? Or, oh, come here, let me help you. And they want to come by you, then you can pick them up, you can carry them. try to bring them out of that situation then and to a place where they might calm down. Maybe it's just walking with them back and forth in a hallway until they've calmed down and feel better. And then the teachable moment comes after that. Like, oh, you looked so angry, or you looked so frustrated, or your body was doing this and there were papers, you don't want to specifically say you were angry. You could say you looked, or it looks like you might have felt. Like, what happened? What's up? Like, see if they can articulate, and they might not be able to. But then they need to know that we're gonna go back in and we're gonna clean some stuff up. I need you to help me do that. And most of the times, children will do it. They'll help you.
Outside, when you're removing the other children, what do you tell them?
We just have to say, we want to keep you safe right now, and your friend is having a really hard time, and we want to help them feel better, but we want to keep you safe, so we're going to go somewhere else and do something else while we're waiting, is usually what we tell other kids. There are some kids that they recognize that right away, and like, kids are really resilient, and they even sometimes want to help, which makes the other child that's having their issue might make it worse sometimes. But kids are really compassionate, and and some kids are scared, like especially if they've never been in a situation like that before, where a kid has totally lost it. And all these things are happening. Some kids might feel scared, or some kids might want to help. You have opposite ends of the spectrum there. But yeah, just explain to them right off the bat, oh, so-and-so is just having a hard time right now, and we need to help them get back to calm, and we're going to keep you safe, and either remove them, or if the other child is willing to go with you, that type of thing. Like, I've had kids be able to calm down in like 5 minutes, some in 10. I have a kiddo right now at school where he's had about 4 meltdowns, and it's taken anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes for him to have his release of tension. And it's just like, he snaps right out of it, and he's ready to move on to the next thing. And it's like, whoa. But I'm just standing there calmly, not engaging them, nothing, like peeking out to make sure they're safe. I'm just standing there, waiting, checking the clock. How long has this been? That type of thing. And you have to stay calm. Like, I know you want it to go quicker, you want it to move along, when is this gonna end, type of thing, but you have to be patient, and yeah, it could be any amount of time. Now, if that's happening here at church, clearly the first thing that we're going to do is contact the parent. They're gonna have to come back. We can't be dealing with that for however long, the parent has to be involved. So they're gonna get a page immediately to come back and help with the situation. And sometimes, that might help, or that might upset the kid even more, but either way, the parent has to be brought into that situation and be a part of the process of, how we're gonna get the child, or stay with the child until they've calmed down. But yeah, we don't know how long it's gonna take. It can vary, it varies all the time. Yeah.
Is it better, like, if we ask them to count to 10 or count to 20?
Yep.
Would that help them?
That's a good strategy we try with kids. I mean, there's a lot of different things and strategies we can do, but yeah, we do that a lot. Or like the deep breathing, if they can participate in that, try to help them breathe, count with them. Yeah, that's a great way to try to help them de-escalate or work through a problem that they're having. Yeah.
Do you keep things in your pockets, distractors that you pull out maybe and try and?
I don't, but usually how it works at school, or I think of my little friend, 4-year-old that we have here at church, we have a basket that has things in it. I don't necessarily I keep my visuals on me at all time. Like I have my identification badge, and then I have a little clip with my visuals on that I always can show them. Like, because pictures do wonders. Sometimes you can do so much talking, and all they needed to see without any language at all was a picture of like someone taking a deep breath, or they needed to just see a picture of sitting pretzel legs on the rug. You don't even need to use a verbal with that. You just show them the picture. So I always have visuals on me, but usually kids that need something, we have a basket of things in the room that we know we can go to try if we need to. Yeah, some of those things wouldn't fit in the pockets. Some of the things are kind of big, but yeah, we do have a basket generally for people that, are kids that need it.
Are those like sensory things?
Yep, sometimes we have sensory things. If they need a weighted vest, I always have one of those in the classroom. I usually typically know when to put on a vest with a kid with sensory needs that needs that, like that weighted feeling and that pressure. I typically can tell, or I do it as preventative, like some kids arrive at school and I put their vest on immediately. And those are very tricky. There's a certain amount of time that they can be left on, and then there's time in between that it has to be left off. So you can't just have a kid in a weighted vest or using a weighted blanket or whatever, like for hours. Like you can't do that. And that's gonna go against anyhow how your sensory system works. Like you wanna have that on a certain amount of time and you wanna have it off. Usually once you take it off, their body is more regulated and then they are able to function. Same goes for if they're wearing it, they can regulate themselves better, and then they're able to sit a little bit longer or participate in the activity that you're doing with them. But yeah, so sensory actually is my next topic. So good segue, Laura. So sensory issues. The behavior may occur due to the child's inability to effectively process sensory information in their environment. The child's brain is unable to process sensory input like a healthy sensory processing system. The child's brain either registers the input too little or too much. This results in the child seeking out more input or the child avoiding the input. The result may lead to an inability to focus or anxiety. This is where caregivers can provide multiple supports to children with sensory disorders. I have a list of some of those things. You may provide a quiet environment if you're noticing they're covering their ears a lot. Headphones are big. We use a lot of headphones with our kiddos in my profession. And they're usually very responsive to leaving them on because they want to block out whatever the noise is that's causing them to feel agitated, and it's too much input for them. We use the weighted vests or compression vests. Visuals, of course, are always helpful. Dimming the lights, some kids might have that visual. It's too much input with certain kinds of lights.
Do they tell you that, though, that the light is bothering them?
Some kids don't know, and they can't communicate that, especially the young kids. But you can, like us as the providers, can usually tell, like if they're trying to cover their eyes a lot or shield themselves. Same with covering their ears. If you notice them constantly covering their ears and it's just too much for them, then we kind of think, oh, let's try headphones with them and see if that works. They continue to use it. I mean, we introduce them at a very young age, but they know that works for them and they'll continue to wear them, because that sensory processing disorder is not just going to go away. Like they're going to have that, so they're always going to need something to help them through whatever it is that's bothering them. what it feels like. There's a really interesting, I didn't even think of it or have the link of it, but there's a really interesting thing on YouTube where it actually shows a simulation of what a person may be hearing or seeing, like a person with a sensory processing disorder or a person who may have autism or be on the autism spectrum. Like it simulates like the sounds and the noises and like the visual things, as like there's one where a person, when they enter into a Walmart and they're walking through a Walmart, what all that input is going into their body, what it's like for them. And it's so interesting. It's like, oh my gosh, and you wonder why these children with autism or sensory processing disorders are exhibiting all these challenging behaviors, because like if you knew what they were experiencing, you would be like, oh my gosh, like that is horrible. There's another one where a person's just walking down the streets and it shows like all the different noises and the things that they're taking in as input that is like amplified like to them, like to the 10th degree. Like it's interesting. If you ever think about it, check that out on YouTube. Just type in like a autism simulation, environmental simulation, and you'll probably see the video pop up on YouTube. But it really brings into focus, like when I first heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, like now I get, because they can't describe to you usually what they're feeling or what they're hearing or what that's doing to them. But seeing that really brought it home to me, like, oh wow, this is what they're experiencing. This is what a little sound to us that we could probably tune out might sound super loud to them. And like a constant, like they're constantly hearing that. Sometimes the buzzes of the lights, the fluorescent lights, bother people. It can be that minute, and we don't know that. We don't know what's in the environment is actually bothering these kiddos. So sometimes when kids are seeking input, some of the things that we might see them doing are running and jumping, or running and then like falling on the ground, bumping into walls. We see kids doing that because they're seeking that input. They want to feel that. We might see them just like walking, but like just banging into kids, like, they're just seeking that input. They want that input on their joints. They want to feel that pressure. They're going to seek it out in ways that look really inappropriate to us, but that's what they're seeking. So that's when we know, oh, maybe we need to take them to the trampoline and they can do a jumping break right now, or maybe they need their vest on, their compression vest or their weighted vest. Maybe they need to just go for a walk in the hallway. There's a lot of different things you can do. If you don't have a trampoline, a lot of times what we will do for kids is we'll have like handprints, and we'll just like put a set of handprints on the wall for them where they can jump up and touch the handprint. And that's giving them that input that they need, just that jumping and touching of something. They might even need to hit that with their hands if they need to. But that's, there's lots of different ways that we can give them that input that they need. Yeah, there's a lot of kiddos with certain clothing that they can't wear. The tags in the clothing bother them. The type of material that it is, they might not be able to wear. So yeah, there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind when you're wondering, my goodness, where's this behavior coming from? I mean, there's the sensory disorder is a biggie. I mean, we're seeing more and more of that as well. Ways the opposite, they're seeking input on the ways that I described. The opposite would be them avoiding certain input. So like I said, they may want the headphones because the sound is too much for them, too loud, or it's just like making them feel crazy. Might not be to us, but to them it is. They might not like touch. I mean, you might touch somebody a certain way, and to them it might be like the most harsh thing you could have done to them by the way that you touch them. It can be that extreme with kiddos with sensory processing disorders. All right, go on to managing disruptive and distracting behaviors. I have a list of some things that we try with kids. It certainly, like I said, it can go beyond this. Working as a team with people can help you come up with more ideas on how to manage disruptive behaviors. But this is a good list for where to start. You want to, like I said, provide clear, simple rules and expectations. Pair that with visuals whenever you can. Establish a predictable routine for kids. Praise them for good choices that they've made. Provide a visual schedule, a first then statement or visual rules, expectations. A lot of kids get, especially those kids that are refusing to do things that you're asking, or they don't want to comply. A lot of times we use a first then visual, which basically is just it's just a piece of paper that we laminate and put Velcro on, but the first side usually has like, you need to do this first, and you put your little picture on there, and then we'll do this. And that a lot of times help kids to kind of snap out of or realize, oh yeah, I need to do this before I can do this or get this or move on to this. Or they just need that extra reassurance or security of, this is what I need to do and this is what is coming next, that type of thing. So we use a lot of first then visuals.
You make me some for at home.
I can. If you need me to, I can. And it works with kids without special needs too. It's helpful for just getting chores done around the house or, things like that. So visuals are great for everyone. Whether they have a disability or not, visuals can make all the difference. It also takes the demand of you always saying, well, this is what you need to do. This is what we're doing. We're doing this next. You're putting the responsibility onto that visual. It kind of removes you from the situation. Oh, this is what your schedule says we have to do next. This is what, like using social stories, for instance. Like I've used lots of social stories with kids, and I can read the social story with them, but it takes the responsibility off of me. Like, oh, but look, your social story says that we walk in the hallways, we use our legs for walking. Our legs help us to get from, to and from the bus. Our legs help us walk down the hallway. Our legs help us to get from the bathroom and back to the classroom. Like you're putting the responsibility back on the story rather than you constantly telling that kid, what we're supposed to do next or what, and that way they might not take the anger out on you as much than if you're referring back to the visuals. It's kind of nice. I always like to say this piece of paper is now responsible for this child. This is what we're doing. You just keep pointing to it. Oh, look at what this says. Our picture says we're doing this next. And then sometimes all I have to do is hold up the thing and I don't even have to use a verbal again with it. There's a lot of times where you just remove the talking and show the visual. That makes a lot of difference. You're actually removing yourself. Like a kid can't argue with a piece of paper, but a kid can argue with a person. So if you're just constantly redirecting them to the visual,
They can't get a reaction.
yes, the paper, the paper isn't going to argue back with them. The paper isn't going to, you still might be just holding that up, or you might be still pointing to it. So you're still part of that, but you don't have to say anything anymore if you don't want to or have to. Paper's not arguing back with them. The paper's not giving them choice. The paper's not actually talking. Or the visual, whatever it is. And that's just kind of why that works so well with kids.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great tool to use.
Yeah, that's why we use so many visuals. We do. They're everywhere. Yeah, you want to always try to take off the responsibility off of yourself as much as you can, and put it on an inanimate object, whatever you can. Put it on the visual schedule. Put it on whatever it is. But yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, just stop talking. There are so many people, like sometimes I cringe when I am in a classroom and there's other, say, aides or whatever in that classroom, and they're trying to work with a child that's not even on my caseload. It's just a child that's having a rough time. And they're using so much language. Like they're just going on and on and on with this kid, and I'm just like, I have to leave the room right now because I can't stand it. Like I see what they're doing to the child by them just talking to them. And it's like the kid, you can just tell, is escalating because all that person is doing is just agitating them even more. And then you just want to be like, stop talking to them and leave them alone. Like just leave them alone. Sometimes that's all a kid wants. And they don't know how to tell you that. Sometimes they do. Leave me alone, okay. When you're ready, come find me, and I'll just walk away from them. I have a kid this year who tells me that every day. Just leave me alone, okay. When you're ready, just come talk to me, or I'll be right over here when you're ready. And, they want to be left alone. They wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true, so.
I think we have to not take offense to that either. Because
Yeah.
I think our pride kind of ooh, how dare you talk
Yeah.
to me like that.
I used to be like that a lot. Like everything a kid said to me, I would take so personally, until I had my mind shift of like, this is not their fault. They don't know why they're doing this. There's a reason why. Yeah.
There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to ask you to leave them alone.
Yeah.
Or some other request.
Yeah, it's some people think like, what do you mean leave you alone? You're just a kid and I'm the adult here and I'm the one that's ruling the roost. What do you mean leave you alone? But it's a human being. Like the children have thoughts of their own. They have emotions. If they're not causing someone else danger, if they're not putting themselves in danger, and they can somehow articulate something, like listen to that, because they're trying to tell you something, but yeah, you have to kind of get over yourself. And that's hard. Like that was really hard for me in the beginning as a special ed teacher. Like, yeah, I was really patient, I was compassionate, but when you come up against those like, especially the ones where the children that are defiant and they don't want to comply, and you're just like, oh, like if I hear no one more time today, I'm going to poke my eyes out. Like you just get so frustrated with kids that don't want to comply. And it's so hard.
The first time that you experience it,
Yeah.
it's like a slap in the face.
Yes, it is. I totally agree. It's really hard to like keep your cool, and I've gotten, kids have seen me very angry. I'm not gonna lie. Like the wrath of Miss Laasko does come out in my school setting. And then I think about it afterwards, like, oh my gosh, like look at how I reacted. Like I'm trying to teach them appropriate skills, and look what I just did to this poor kid that just saw me get so angry and frustrated. I do. I definitely will talk to them about it. Like at first I didn't do that when I was, learning how to control myself when I'd get so frustrated. And then like I realized now I have to teach them like what I just did was not okay. So then I will talk with them. Like I'm sorry I yelled at you. I was frustrated. I got angry. And I'm going to do better next time, just talk it through with them so that they know that then they can apologize when they've done something, out of their frustration or out of their challenging behavior, that they can apologize to someone when they've done something. It's just all a teaching and learning experience. I'm still learning. I'm still like figuring out through these, disruptive behaviors, challenging behaviors. I still learn praying before the day starts, like, Holy Spirit, guide me and lead me with these kids today, because I want to do your will with this child. Like, I need to look like what you would look like if this kid was with you. Like, help me do that, because I have lost my cool. Like, I totally admit that. I think we all have. Like, I know a lot of people I work with have, and then we realize afterwards, like, oh, what could I have done differently, and what should have I said that differently, and just learn from that, that process. All right. Let's see. Provide redirection with replacement activity or replacement behavior. It's kind of like what Amanda said about helping a kid maybe count through, count down, or count up, or taking deep breaths. Like, there's a lot to be said about deep breaths. Like, you hear it like a lot. Like, everyone says, take a breath, take it easy, take some deep breaths. Like, there's a whole reaction going on in our body from our brain to our lungs. It's a reason why it's all helps you to calm down. There's a reaction happening that's bringing us and calming us through breathing and deep breathing. And we try to teach kids that. We even have little visuals of things taking, deep breaths, or let's do a figure 8 breath now. Around one end, they're breathing in the figure 8. On the other end of the figure 8, they're breathing out. We have different visuals of teaching kids how to take deep breaths, or adults for that matter, if they don't know, helping them in the moment that they're feeling really angry or frustrated. So it sounds like it's overused, take a deep breath, whatever, but there's a huge reason for that. I know when I take those really deep cleansing breaths, I feel very different after I do that. If I'm nervous about something, if I, whatever it is, jitters about something, and I'm taking deep breaths, I feel very much different. I can feel that leave my body. And it works for children as well. Let's see, where was I? Teach and model the skills. Don't assume kids know how to do what you're asking. Like I said, every little thing has to be broken down. Show them how to do it. Do hand over hand with them if you need to. Show them maybe what an end product might look like. Does it have to look like that? No. A kid can do the project however they want. They don't have to have their project look exactly the way that you as the adult want it to look like. Kids are creative. They have their own way of doing things, but that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Sorry. I could go on a tangent on that. But yeah, gone are the days of a kid making a project look exactly the way that you have made it or you want it to look like. Kids get frustrated and have a hard time with that, and that causes a lot of behaviors in and of itself of them trying to follow a model, and what is this supposed to look like exactly? That can cause a behavior right there. Kids can make a project look however they want it to look. That's up to them.
It's like coloring in the lines.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And they're eventually, you can model it but they're eventually gonna get to that point where they're gonna color in the lines, like they're gonna learn that.
If they want to. I mean, that's part of the artistic.
Yeah, yes. And telling them, no, don't go outside that line. That's gonna cause frustration for them because they might not be ready for that yet. Number one, if you're teaching that specific skill of coloring inside of something, they might not be ready for that. But they can color however they want when they're starting off and make their project look however they want.
Still done who they are.
It does, yes. Remain calm, that's huge. To stay calm when you're working through these really challenging behaviors of kids that, like I said, are tearing a classroom apart. You just gotta stay calm, because if they see you react out of frustration or anger, that's going to escalate them. I've seen it happen many times. I've escalated children. I've escalated them. I have to stay calm. I have to be relaxed. I have to stop talking. I have to let them work through. Like if they aren't immediately following what I've redirected them to do or given them choices, they're not doing that. They're so upset. You just have to recognize that in yourself and just stop talking and be calm and let them go through whatever it is that they're going through in that moment, because they're probably past the point of being rational and being able to make a choice at that point. And I put on here, talk with the child, ask how you can help them, because some kids aren't ready for that, but some kids have that skill and they can tell you. They can tell you what's bothering them. They can tell you or explain how they're feeling. So don't be afraid to try it, but if they can't tell you, that's okay too. We're just gonna keep trying to work through it with them as best as we know how. But you'd be surprised, some kids can actually answer that question. Like, how can I help you? What's up? What can I do to help you feel better? You know, you're looking really frustrated right now. You look angry. What can I do to help you? You know, and they might be able to. A lot of times kids just ask for a hug in that moment. Like they just want a hug. Like they might not know even what is frustrating them or causing, but they might like ask for a hug, and who doesn't want to give a kid a hug, especially when they're in that moment of frustration and, you know, agitation and whatever, to help them feel better.
Do you think there's a limit to the hugs though? I mean, if they're constantly coming and hanging on you and hugging and...
It can be. I mean, if there's a different skill you need to teach there. Like, do you want to hold on to this stuffed animal? Would you like to sit in this beanbag chair? You know, they may want to be on you or hanging on you because they're craving that particular touch or, you know, that desire for love and care. But they could be sitting next to you. Okay, I see you want a hug. I'll give you one hug. Now you can sit next to me, or it could be in your lap. You know, you can sit in my lap, and then the next step might be, okay, I'll give you one hug, and now you can sit next to me. Do you want to hold on to this? You know, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, it could get too much, clearly, especially if you're the main teacher and there's this kid hanging all over you when you're trying to like teach the rest of your class. You might, yeah, that's when you want to teach them a more appropriate skill. Yeah, it's just teaching the replacement skill, teaching a little more appropriate of a skill in that moment. I like Pinterest, and I'm always on there looking at behavior management, like little quick things that I can look at, like to help me remember. 'Cause sometimes we forget, like especially in a moment when we're feeling really frustrated, or we don't know, like, how come I can't help this kid? Or I pin little things like this to remind myself. You know, alternatives. You could say, instead of calm down, well, they might not know how to calm down. You could say that over and over and over again. That's not going to help them if they don't know how to calm down. How can I help you? Like I said, if you can ask them that, is a better way of saying calm down. Stop crying. I can see this is hard for you, or I can see that you're feeling sad right now. How can I help you? Instead of telling them you're okay, because they might not be okay. There's a reason why they're crying, or they're feeling scared. Instead, ask them, are you okay? And what can I do to help? Instead of be quiet, let's use a quieter voice. Let's use our whisper voice. Can we be quiet and whisper? You know, that type of thing. Or use your inside voice, match my voice. Listen to what my voice sounds like. Can you make your voice sound like this? We have voice level visuals too, of like, what's the extreme, what's the middle, what's the either silent or the whisper end of things. And then teaching kids even their voice volume on using a visual. Don't hit, please be gentle. Our hands are for helping. Stop yelling, take a deep breath. Tell me what happened. How can I help you? You can always come back to how can I help you, like with everything. Don't get upset. You'd rather say, it's okay to feel this. Reassure them that their feelings are totally fine. They can have any feeling in the world that they want. It's okay. We all have feelings. There's reasons behind them. So, we can reassure that and reaffirm that with them, that that's okay if they feel sad. It's okay that you're angry, but when you're angry, we're going to do this. These are some options to help them get back to calm. That's enough. Do you need a hug? I'm over this. Or how about I'm here for you? And here's another one. De-escalation strategies. We talked a lot about these. Act calm even if you're not. Give a choice. Use humor to lighten the mood if that helps. Ask them to draw a picture. I say, I see where you're coming from, because they do have an opinion, and they might be able, like I said, be able to articulate to you what's bothering them. So show that empathy, recognize that they are telling you something that they're feeling or why they're feeling the way that they are, or acting the way that they are. So reaffirm that. Even like sometimes repeating that is big. Like if they actually can tell you what's bothering them, it might be something as simple as, John took my favorite pencil that I like to use. Oh, so you're frustrated because your friend took the pencil that you want to use. Okay, how could we maybe fix this? And then give them some choices. If they can't figure it out, let's ask Johnny for your favorite pencil. See if he'll share with you or exchange with you. You bring this pencil to Johnny and see if he'll use this pencil instead. So reaffirming or repeating the reason why they are feeling the way they are, so that they see you understand them, is big, especially when you're trying to, make a connection with them and show them that you understand how they feel. Let the person talk without interrupting. Avoid needing to get in the last word. Remind them they are not in trouble. Say, I'm here for you. Ignore the behavior if you can. Say what would help you right now. Offer to change something you are doing, and let them take a walk or get a drink, or let them just be alone if that's what they want in the moment. Just give them their space. All right, so I had the start of some what if scenarios that we can talk about. And then this will conclude. So what if the child does not participate in your classroom? They just don't want to. They don't want to join in. They don't want to sit on the rug. They don't want to, they were playing, they don't want to put their toys away. So for instance, and I've done this many, many times, the child doesn't want to sit for story, either because they physically can't, their mind is not ready to take in all of that information, they can't sit for that long, whatever the reason might be. They just don't want to be over by the story area. They can be at a table off to the side doing something else. That's not a big deal. That's okay. Other kids might ask why. Why did they get to play right now? Well, because their body isn't ready to be with us on the rug right now. So they're just going to do that until they're ready. And most kids are fine with that. Like I said, you'd be surprised at when you give an explanation to a kiddo that they're totally fine with. Same with if you're doing an actual hands-on activity and they don't want to participate right away. You could offer, well, I'll help you. Come here, I'll help you, and see if that helps. They might their lagging skill might be they don't know how to put these steps in order that you just explained, or they heard the first step or the last step, but they forgot all the other steps in between, and that's why they don't want to come over and do this with you. So just saying, oh, I'll help you, come on over, might help, might work. If it doesn't, that's okay. Just they're off to the side and they're okay. They're not distracting all the other kids. They might be doing something alternative. That's okay. The child refuses to follow rules and expectations. What could we do with that? You have your visual schedule or your visual rules, you talked about them, and then you still have a kid who is running around the room, or they're shouting out, making loud noises, or they're crawling under the tables, or they're trying to get out of the room. What are some ways, do you think, that we could help that child? Especially if the kid is being very active and not wanting to come, sit down for whatever, the lesson or a story or whatever it may be, is just give them a little break where they can be active. It might even be as easy as taking them for a walk out of the room or out of the area that, you're in, and coming back, or anything that can bring action to them. And then you come back and you'd be surprised, they're ready to join right back in. They're ready to participate. And sometimes they don't know how to express that. Like, I need to move, I need a break, so you can see that physically that might be what they need, then you can offer that to them. And then they might be ready to join in, and they might not be ready to join in. You don't know. It's all in the moment and what you're doing, having choices ready, having options for them.
Behaviors escalate, and the situation gets out of control, and we kind of talked about this. So we have that kid
that now starts tipping over chairs, or starts throwing things around the room, or throwing things on the floor, or maybe starts to get aggressive towards you or the other people around. We did talk about that a little bit, where number one, we're here at church, we're going to call the parent right away, or the caregiver, whoever it was that was here that brought them. We're going to page them. They're going to come back right away. And then we're going to start giving the child choices. Do you want to take a walk? Do you want to go next door and do some jumping? What would make you feel better? Ask them that. Remember, ask them. They might be able to tell you. And if it gets to the point where things really are out of control and it's past that, you can't talk to them anymore, they're not gonna answer any of your questions, they're not gonna make a choice, just make sure everyone is safe. If the child is willing to go with you, remove them from the room, bring them to a space where they're safe, but if they still need to get their anger and frustration out, they can. Or, like I said, remove the children from your classroom and let them stay in there if they're not willing to come with you. If they are going after kids, of course you're going to try to protect. It's okay to step in front of the child. It's okay to block in between. You'd rather them be hitting you than hitting, some of the other kids in your room or whoever it might be. You just don't want to restrain them. You don't want to hold on to them like this. You don't want to grab their arms and try to keep them in one place. They still need to be able to move freely if they need to, but stepping in between, holding your hand out and just giving them that reminder, our hands are for helping, our bodies need to be safe, that type of thing. You always want to be redirecting to what the appropriate behavior is. But yeah, we are going to try to help de-escalate that situation. If the kid needs to de-escalate on their own, then that's what we have to let happen. And then talk to them about it afterwards. But always here at church, we always want to call the parent immediately when we're seeing that the situation is going to get out of control to the point where we can't help them anymore and things are going to start flying or kids are going to get hurt, whatever it might be. What usually happens is the parent or caregiver will talk with that child. The child usually, not always, but sometimes when they see that their parent or whoever is there, they might just like all of a sudden switch immediately because their parental figure is there, someone who's always reinforcing the rules, who's always, that's their parent. So they see that person and they might just, like I've seen it happen here, they see that person and it was just like a total switch. And then that person talked with the child and talked them through some things and then asked if they were ready to go back into the classroom. And at that point the child they went right back in and they were fine. So yeah, we have had to page parents back. I have not seen a situation where there's been chairs flying and that type of thing. At school, yes, it's almost a daily thing, but not here. I've seen some of the aggression, but with verbal reminders and just how, giving those, our hands are for helping, the scissors stay on the table, the scissors are for cutting paper, whatever the situation might be. Our feet stay on the floor, so are safe. It always comes back to reinforce that so you're safe, so that everyone is safe, so that your friends are safe. Bring that into the mix all the time. If the child cannot be redirected with the choices that you're giving them, maybe then that would be the option of, let's go for a walk. And remove that kid from there so then those other kids can't see what's going on anymore. And then
It's too late, it already happened, now what?
you still can try to remove that child out of the room to take out the main cause of the whole issue. And then whoever is left in the classroom can then help, regain control of the classroom by going over the rules and the following, showing all of that. But yeah, that does happen. we see the followers and the monkey see, monkey do's, and oh, this looks so much fun. They're running all over the room. Let's do that. Let's join in. Yeah, or get the other child if they want to, because you're seeing that they can't or don't want to, whatever it is, don't want to participate in what you're doing instead of running all over. That's when that basket that I was talking about, a little tricks that you might have, little activities in there or something for them to do. You could be like, oh, I have your basket. You want to come sit over here, sit down and we'll work on this. And that way they can do that. And then the other kids might calm down as well. And you get them back focused into what they're supposed to be doing. And kids might ask about the basket. Why does he get a basket? Why does he have a basket? Like I said, just remind them. That's something special for so-and-so. It helps them to learn. And kids are just like, oh, okay. They usually don't ask about it again. Or if they do, oh, do you want to look at what's in the basket? Let them look at what's in the basket. Now, these are for so-and-so. These are here to help so-and-so learn. And, then the kids usually know that it's off limits to them. And just keep reminding them of that. If they need reminders of it, remind them of that. I wanted to bring up bathrooming with children, especially children with special needs. Always have two people. I don't care what classroom you're in. Always have two people. If it's you as the special needs volunteer that's with the kid, and if possible, have the second person in the room come with you. Try to keep the main door propped open if you can, but have two people, please. There has to be accountability. It just has to be. So that's all I can say about that. Running out of the classroom, I wanted to bring this up too. I'm not a runner, but when your fight or flight kicks in, I'm sprinting. It's a miracle because my knees don't work that way. But I've had to chase a child out into this back parking lot They were having the best time. They were laughing. They thought it was so fun. And here's me like running with all my might, like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm just thankful it was this back parking lot and not out here in the front. And, you know, when I finally got to the child, you know, I just stopped them, touched their top shoulders, got down on their level. I squatted down, and I did use a stern voice. I wasn't yelling. I wanted them to know that this was not safe. So I used a very stern voice, but I was gentle, and I said, this is not safe. I was so scared. You ran out of the building. We're in a parking lot. There's cars all around us. I was scared. I'm feeling scared right now. We have to go back inside. Will you take my hand? Can we walk inside? And the kid like saw like what I was feeling, and they were like, okay, you know, and we just walked in. And you might get the kid who keeps dropping to the floor. You're trying to get somewhere. They keep falling. Like, you know, try not to hang on to them. Whatever, you can hold their hand. Like I said, if they'll come by you and you carry them, that's cool. But you know, try to make it fun. Do you want to crawl like a tiger? Do you want to be a puppy? Let's be a puppy and go back to the classroom. Or do you want to fly like a bird? Let's be birds. Let's go back to the classroom and be a bird. You know, try to get them there however they can. We have hall monitors. Clearly, we hope that if they're seeing a kid running down the hall and you're coming after them too, that they're gonna help us, please. Like, I've had this little fellow run up this way, and of course our hall monitor is right here at the end of the hall, and I just went like this as I was running, and he just kind of stepped up and he was like, hey, how you doing? You know, and the kid stopped. But then he quick turned and he went into the kitchen, and so we both, me and the hall monitor, went into the kitchen because he wanted to do a little game around the island in there. So, and then we both each kind of got him on a side, and we're like, hey, what's up? You know, like, we can't like be like, we can't leave the classroom, you know, type of thing. Just try to be calm as you can. Like, hey, what's up? Let's go try to go back to the classroom. Do you want me to carry you? And this little dude usually will say, yeah. But you know, I haven't had the experience with older kids, so I don't know what that would look like. It'll be a learning moment if one of our older kids decides they want to run out the building or run somewhere else. But I have a lot of experience with that with little kids. So, but if you're not a runner, hopefully, you know, our hall monitors will, and I don't know if this is something that needs to be brought up to them specifically, like, please look for kids that you see are running. Like there's a reason why they're running, and hopefully they can try to help or try to catch the kid, or at least point us in the right direction. Oh, they headed down that way, because they might not be able to run either. I get that, and not all of us can run, and it is what it is, right? But, you know, hopefully we never have any really super scary moments. But, you know, we just try our best, work as a team. If anyone in the hallways sees anyone running, you know, just try to help. And someone's going to be close behind, hopefully, because they're going to notice either that kid ran out or they're going to notice they're missing from their room. So, yeah, we'll just do our best and work as a team on all of this. Like I said, I am here as the support for all of you. You know, any questions you have, those of you that are gonna actually be working with kids with disabilities, I'm gonna be there training you one-on-one until you're comfortable with it. What I've experienced with the people that I've trained so far is they have a lot of intuition already. They know what to do, and it's super cool. Like, I don't think people realize it. Like, even kids with challenging behaviors, you know, these people are parents. Like, they know already, have a lot of tools in their toolkit on how to help kids with behaviors. And they just know a behavior plan. We can come up with a behavior plan so that everyone's on the same page and doing the same things. yeah, we're going to work together as a team, and we're going to do our best and support these kids so they can be part of our church and learn about Jesus, and hopefully their parents come to church and they learn about Jesus. It's kind of our main goal of this. So